Welcome inside the vault on a Wednesday. It's the 12th of November. I'm Bobby Trossett. This is my co-host and partner, Sarah Ellison. We are back in duo form. Thank you for your continued patience. Obviously, we took Friday off. We then took Tuesday off, which was somewhat impromptu, but I'm back in the state of Florida, safe and sound. And Sarah, hopefully you're inching closer, let's call it, to 100% health-wise. So we appreciate you guys for being with us. As always, this is a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream for you. It's officially week 11 of this NFL season. And for the Ravens, that means a trip to Cleveland to face the Browns coming up on Sunday. We've got a lot to get to today, of course, with no show yesterday. Double the content maybe. So if you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership today. And it's all brought to you, this episode is, by our friends at Wellness Plus Care. In terms of the rundown, what we have for you, Jeff Zaribek on the collective last night with Cole, which I could not make because of my travels. Thanks to those guys for holding down the fort. Sarah, he kind of shared what really, from his perspective, which is as good as any, if not the best, locker room mood after this 3-game win streak, where morale is. And honestly, what maybe there was still unfinished business almost after that win in Minnesota by several key figures on the Ravens offense. We'll get to that clip in just a bit. John Harbaugh also gave somewhat of a strange answer on Keaton Mitchell's usage, not only lately, but season-wide earlier this week during his Monday press conference. Rashad Bateman is set to miss time. How much? There'll be some AFC North chatter in there as well, and I'm sure a lot more in between. Great to see you, partner.
Good to see you. It's so good to be back. I can see it in the live chat where everybody's saying hello from a one-day hiatus. It's like we all missed each other for not being able to get together on Tuesday. So my apologies. I know that you were relying on me to do a solo show with your travels, and I just my voice is getting back, but the last 2 days it wasn't quite there. I was trying to power through, but I was like, nobody wants to listen to me and my nasty cold and all that kind of stuff. So I'm back and I'm ready to go. So glad to hear. Glad to see everybody saying hello to everybody. So, but let's jump in, Bobby, because as you pointed out, here's where the Ravens are looking right now in the big AFC playoff picture. Okay. It's very interesting because this NFL network graphic has the Ravens in this lurking category of what it's calling it. And you've got lurking in there at number 8, Kansas City, number 9, Houston Texans, and then 10 and 11, Ravens and Bengals, respectively. And now this is a good place to be considering where we were a few weeks ago when the Ravens were 1-5. And so it does make you wonder, knowing that you're lurking, you're not in, you still have a long ways to go, but you should feel good about your 3-game win streak. What are the vibes? How is it going on internally in the locker room? What's the state in there? As you said, Jeff Zaribek on your guys' show, The Collective, last night, took us inside the locker room and what the mood is there.
The most interesting thing after post-game on Sunday afternoon was Harbaugh admitting how emotional it was to him. And, he sort of went around the locker room talking to guys, and he was feeling it. This season has taken a toll on a lot of people in the organization. There's been a lot of criticism, a lot of stuff that they're not used to dealing with, the injuries early, a lot of things, right? And, even Jaire Alexander, veterans not playing like they usually do and having to come to grips with that. So, they have a chance now. They put themselves in position to make something of the season. And I just think the totality of that probably hit Harbaugh at some point after the game. There's no doubt this team feels a lot better than it did 3 weeks ago. That's for sure. I think they also understand there's a long way to go for them. They still have to do a lot more digging before you feel good about where they stand. I think Lamar Jackson made that clear. I think after the game, you talk to some offensive players, and I think they were pissed off, to be honest with you, Cole. Lamar Jackson was pissed off after that game, and Derrick Henry was not pleasant after that game, and Ronnie Stanley was sort of dismissive about it. Like, these guys know they need to be playing better. I think the defense is relieved. They feel like they're figuring some stuff out, but I think commendable. They're not really resting on laurels. I think, they've been given several opportunities over the last a couple of weeks to pronounce themselves as back and point fingers and say, I told you so. They're the first to say, we have a long way to go. We're still not doing things at a high enough level. And I think for all the criticism of John Harbaugh, and a lot of it, I think, early season was certainly deserved, and some of the stuff in the past, you can't dismiss that he still has a handle on this locker room, and he still gets these guys ready to play and believing. Now, you can question other decisions. I'm sure I have these messages turned off because I don't need to listen to people bitch and moan, but I'm sure this is going to draw a response. But in that way, his stability and his positivity, I think, really helps them. I think he was a steadying influence as they've gotten themselves off the mat here. And you could see the emotions he sort of was experiencing. His wife was in the media room with him, which we don't see all too often. So, the win was a big one for him.
So, Bobby, that's a lot in there. He kind of took us through the head coach's emotions, how the offense is feeling, the defense. But we'll start with his comments on John Harbaugh, who admitted himself when he was up at podium on Sunday that he did feel emotional to have those 3 wins in a row. And it hit him after the game to have his wife in there. We've been in those media rooms many, many, many times. I don't think I can ever recall her being in there. Maybe there was during a playoff game or something that I'm not remembering. But yeah, it is rare for her to be in there. And so I like that Jeff said that they realize they're not out of the woods yet. They're not out of the woods yet. We just showed it. They're lurking. The job is nowhere near done. But I mean, they were in a corner. They're still somewhat in a corner, but it feels like they're punching back to get outside of the corner. And when you back a man in the corner, that's when you find out who they are. And John Harbaugh never stopped swinging. Jeff says, he said he's not looking at the live chat. He doesn't want to hear the moaning and the whining at what he's about to say. He's like, there's still plenty to criticize, but you can't deny that the locker room still fights for John Harbaugh. Defense being relieved, offense ticked off. So it feels like the correct mood, a little bit of relief, but knowing that they're nowhere close to done yet, but at least there's some breathing room.
Content, but not satisfied. In other words, it sounds like that's the case. And I'm with you. It's exactly where you should be. You still have to dig yourselves out of this hole. But the reality is you're going to a place that hasn't treated you very kindly in recent years. 3 of the last 4 Cleveland has taken at their place, and it's Ravens-Browns this weekend in Cleveland, 4:25 kickoff. But with that said, you got a rookie quarterback who I think the Ravens are going to be ready for. They're going to disrupt him early and often. They're going to have a plan. J.J. McCarthy, Sarah, who's essentially a rookie himself in terms of starts, said in his post-game press conference on Sunday that they threw the kitchen sink at him defensively, and it was very complimentary of Zach Orr's game plan. I wouldn't be surprised if we see both quarterbacks from a Browns perspective. If Shador is healthy, we're going to have more on that coming up later on with the AFC North. I would not be surprised if we see both quarterbacks. And regardless of whether or not that's the case, I think they're going to have a plan. They're going to have a plan to provide a ton of discomfort to whoever's under center for the Browns. And this is a very winnable game to get you back to 500. That said, it's a championship defense. I look forward to diving into Ravens-Browns, which is always, especially in recent years, one of the two. And of course, the first has already went the Ravens' way in convincing fashion, but that first half could have been anybody's game going into halftime the first time around, week 2. But I look forward to watching this one unfold because Ravens-Browns tends to be really, really competitive, at least through the first halves of these games in recent years. And as we saw last year, can go in Cleveland's favor every so often. So, I think all of what we just heard from Jeff is not much of a surprise. And I also think it's a good place to be going into a week that, yet again, you got to have it, especially with Pittsburgh starting to really falter as they did on Sunday night.
Well, what's interesting is on Sunday night, Lamar Jackson did not speak at podium. He spoke inside the locker room. And so that was while we were doing our post-game show. I've since gone back and listened to it. And when Jeff describes the offense as ticked off still, I definitely got those vibes. Henry wants to be better. Lamar wants to be better. They want to keep moving. And Lamar was asked, like, do you feel good about the streak? And he's like, yes, but like, we still got to stay locked in. We can't feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves here. And speaking of Lamar, excuse me, this was so funny that this like fake Joe Ortiz account, obviously former scout for the Ravens, now the GM for the Chargers, he posted this graphic of every NFL team's pass protection rating versus a quarterback's QBR. And this Joe Ortiz guy posted it to highlight Justin Herbert in the Chargers offensive woes. But of course, the Ravens fans caught hold of it and started commenting. And he says, Ravens fans, this was supposed to be a Justin Herbert post. And we're like, sorry, we're kind of in the same boat, but check this out. So what this is for the audio only listeners is we have a quadrant, okay? And the higher up in the quadrant that you are, the better pass protection you have. And the further right, the better the quarterback is performing as measured by QBR. Lamar Jackson looks to be at the highest performing. Look at the Ravens. Highest performing. This is through week 9. Maybe he's tied there with the Seahawks, but it looks like, I don't know, he might be a little bit ahead. But the difference between the Seahawks and the Ravens is the Seahawks are in the top quadrant, meaning they have some of the best pass protection. Looks to be around 4, maybe tied for 5. Whereas the Ravens pass protection is some of the lowest in the league. Maybe, again, 4th lowest or 5th lowest. But to see Lamar Jackson having what looks to be the highest QBR in the league with the 4th or 5th lowest pass protection is such a kind of like this, just a powerful image to let you know how Lamar really does make his offensive line look better than it is through these 9 weeks. And of course, I don't know. I imagine they're putting in the QBR for Huntley and Cooper Rush also. Or maybe they're not, because I don't know how it could be so high if it included Cooper Rush. So, but it's just a powerful image to show you how well he's performing despite some of the worst pass protection in the league.
Oh, and a scary one going into Sunday. It's
with powerful. Myles Garrett coming to town.
It's a powerful image. And they're going to Myles Garrett's town, as you know. So, this is a road game for them. And so, yeah, it's powerful, but it's also scary going up against a defensive front that is going to be flying around. And it's also scary in the sense that being that we really haven't seen Lamar truly test his mobility, and if any limitations there remain as he recovers and tries to get his regular season legs back after that hamstring absence, it's particularly scary knowing that he may need his legs this upcoming weekend, and you just don't know. You want to give the guy the benefit of doubt because he's Lamar frickin' Jackson, but there have been a couple plays, I think, since he's returned where he's either been caught from behind or maybe not. Let's be honest, there's not been that much of a sample size for us to truly evaluate where he's at health-wise. So all of that, of course, is going to be at the top of mind going in against a dominant defense like the Browns are.
Well, what we do have, though, is looking back on that Vikings game where Brian Flores really was coming at him, that Lamar has hit yet another level of his evolution as a quarterback, because in the past he could just, use his legs to scramble and get out of things. But what we saw on Sunday against the Vikings was a quick, very quick pass game from Lamar Jackson, which in the past, he's been talked about. Can he have this quick passing game? Can he throw on time? Does he have to sit back and wait and then become the second play Lamar Jackson and let things like extend? But instead, as Ryan Mink pointed out here, that he threw a quick pass, meaning that's measured by a pass that you throw in less than 22.5 seconds. He did that 65.5% of his attempts against the Vikings, which was the second highest rate of his career. He averaged 2.59 seconds to throw versus the Vikings. That's the 6th fastest of his career. His fastest time to throw was again against Brian Flores and the Dolphins in 2021. So being that fast, Lamar was 12 of 19 for 118 yards on quick passes, and he took just one sack when they blitzed nearly 60% of the time. And what's funny, Bobby, is you and I said it coming out of that game that Lamar Jackson didn't have to put on the Superman cape. This is some NFL pro footage of Lamar in just a ho-hum day, probably a below average day for him, although that pass was sick. Just right over the outstretched hands of a defender, getting it where he needed to be. Finds Zay Flowers over the middle. And just like time and time again, and in many of these, he does have pretty good protection, but he's getting rid of it so quickly like he did there to Flowers. It's like the protection doesn't even need to hold up for very long when you're getting rid of it that quickly. This one, I love the play action. It helps the offensive line a little bit more when you're just running with Derrick Henry. And then has that play action. It makes those guys pause for just a second. He finds Charlie Kolar. And then almost hit him there. Looked like Voorhees getting pushed in, but he still got the ball out quickly. Same thing here. He just was so quick, never had to put on the cape. And it's beautiful footage of a ho-hum day for Lamar Jackson.
You want to know what's also beautiful too is where he ranks right here, courtesy of the 33rd team in terms of passer rating leaders when pressured. Mm-hmm. He's atop the list. Passer rating leaders when pressured this season is led by Lamar with a rating of 109.5. That's north of Daniel Jones, Matthew Stafford, Justin Fields, and Jalen Hurts. And as the 33rd team notes here, the league average rating under pressure is 70.1 in 2025. So, some people were responding in the live chat just a minute ago, Sarah, when I kind of pumped the brakes in terms of, okay, well, if Lamar is forced to use his mobility coming up on Sunday against Cleveland, where's he going to be at? Well, the beauty of it is if he's not, you already know that pressure is going to be there, and he's proven that he's capable of answering the bell when that pressure is there. And these numbers right here that you see on the screen suggest that. His numbers against the blitz suggest that. So he'll be ready. There's no question. He's going to be ready for Cleveland and what they're going to throw at him. It's just a matter of when you got to have it, is he going to be able to fully produce physically? And that question remains to be seen.
Well, yes, it does. But hopefully it's not going to happen. But man, the offensive line, I wanted to show this clip. Rave Kingdom, of course, putting this out where he's pointing out Daniel Fa'alele not playing well. I mean, Lamar gets killed on this play, but it's not just Fa'alele. It's Roger Rosengarten and it's Justice Hill. There was 3 people to block 2.
Look at him looking back. He's going to kill. Look at, he's going to kill Lamar. Daniel Fa'alele. One more time. Look at him. He's looking back. I'm going to sell you. Lamar, Daniel Fa'alele.
He's always funny and with that desperation voice. But again, I think that was a bit on Roger Rosengarten also, but like these are the things. Lamar's playing well. He's making his offensive line look better than it is, but it's these guard positions. And then check this out. Cole Jackson takes a look at these guard positions in the run game. It's not just with Lamar.
Struggled so badly, these high leverage moments, both guys are going to miss their blocks. See right there. Nobody's blocking anybody. Guards miss. Derrick Henry hitting the backfield. How many times does this have to happen? So start with Andrew Voorhees here on the backside of this run. He just straight up misses. Poor hand placement. Right there, he's got to overtake that one tech. As he overtakes, Linderbaum gets to get into the play side here, and Andrew Voorhees just needs to turn and have that left hand up in the chest plate, not too high. And you see right there, his guy comes in free. Daniel Fa'alele on the play side here. And this is Daniel Fa'alele's fundamental. It's funny. This play is actually a nice microcosm. Andrew Voorhees, poor hand placement. Daniel Fa'alele having to operate in space. See him just miss his block on 51? He just can't do it in space. It's crazy to watch.
So, Bobby, I think this is the last piece that the Ravens, the Ravens have been improving things, obviously on defense. Lamar getting back obviously improves things on offense again, not fumbling the ball like Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers did early in the season. That helps the offense. This is the last piece, not making Lamar have to have the sensational QBR without good pass protection. I don't know what the answer is yet. Because what not just frustrates me about Daniel Fa'alele, what frustrates me more is that there's not somebody else that can beat him. We've been looking at this film week in and week out. Every week there's something with Daniel Fa'alele. What frustrates me is that there wasn't a plan. Ben Cleveland wasn't a plan. Emory Jones, when you drafted him injured, that's not a plan. Those aren't plans. And so I'm still waiting to see if Emory Jones at some point in the future is able to come in and beat Daniel Fa'alele out. Outside of that, it's just keep going to practice and try to make sure people get better. It's happened elsewhere on this team. This still feels like the weakest link of the team. And if Emory Jones or some sort of miracle can happen, which I have seen before, the Super Bowl year, the Ravens made an offensive line change in December, and they went on and had a Super Bowl run. So maybe a change could still be coming. Maybe somehow magically people play better, but this is the final link for the Ravens to improve, to start making you feel like, okay, they actually have a chance, even when they pass the lurking stage. Because like I've said for many weeks now, I do believe they're going to make the playoffs. But for them to go far in the playoffs, this has still got to get solved.
Ton of AFC North play coming up, as we all know as well. They've only played one game through 10 weeks in division, so it could be good, could be bad. We'll have to see. Hopefully it's the former for them. Brief pause in content for the moment, because Sarah, our friends at Wellness Plus Care, as you can see, have recently revamped their website. That's what Brenda and her team have done. And there she is. Look at her with that lab coat on, looking like $1 million right there with one of her partners. Brenda Boggs and company, Wellness Plus Care, have been sponsoring this show all season long. And we appreciate them, and we want to show off what they've been working on with this new site. So they are located in Hunt Valley, Maryland. Brenda and her team offer a full-service clinic focused on hormone therapy, medical weight loss, skin rejuvenation, IV therapy, peptide therapy, and genetic testing. Every care plan that they have provided for you is personalized, and each patient works directly with the same provider so that you're not just a number. They got a pretty simple mission: help men and women restore energy, confidence, and long-term vitality. Brenda has a tremendous amount of experience, including over 34 years of patient care experience as a family nurse practitioner. She's got an entire bio that you can go toggle through on this site. And the best part for our Vaultrons, as always, you know there's a little incentive wrinkled in there for you guys. We always try and look out for you. And in this case, Wellness Plus Care is looking out for you guys as well. If you mention the Vault, you'll get tirzepatide, that's GLP-1, tirzepatide, at a first week rate of $40. You can try it out, see if it's the right fit for you. You can call Wellness Plus Care if you want to talk through it at 410-202-3863. And again, if you tell them that you are a Vaultron, they're going to give it to you for $40 for that first week. Just kind of in context here for some comparisons, $235 is their monthly rate, and they're willing to give it to you on that one-time basis for a $40 first week experiment, if you will, to go try out and see if it's right for you. On top of that, they'll give you 20% off your first testosterone treatment if you let them know that you are a Vaultron. And again, 410-202-3863 is where you can find them. You can reach out to them. WellnessPlusCare.com is the official site. We have links to it in the show notes and also as a pinned comment right now for those of you that are watching in live formatting. And Sarah, like I said, this is a brand new site. So what sticks out to you? What should we go check out today?
Let's go to the vitamin therapy.
Okay.
Who doesn't like some good vitamins to get you going through the day?
Let's do it. IV therapy. Replenish, restore, and revive from the inside out. At Wellness Plus Care, their IV infusion and vitamin injection therapies deliver essential nutrients directly into your bloodstream for maximum absorption and fast results. Each blend is formulated to help you feel your best, boosting energy, enhancing immunity, improving skin health, and restoring balance to your body. I like the one that you picked there.
Yeah, no, I'm a big believer in vitamins, even though this is a bad time for me to say it because I've been out the last 2 days. But since I started taking vitamins more frequently, I do get sick less often. And when I do get sick, I bounce back quicker. Whereas before, like sometimes I'd be out, a week or whatever it would take me out. And I can't remember the last time I had to miss a show due to illness. It's been a
long time.
long time. So vitamins, very, very important. I honestly think it has transformed my health.
You've been on top of me about that for sure over the last couple of years. So much so I got a daily vitamin C now because of you.
There you go.
And how about this for our folks out there, for the drinking community? They got a hangover cure mix.
Oh, there you go.
One of many mixes.
Wait. Read what that says. Go back to it.
Yeah.
Focused on what? Rehydration, headache relief, and queasiness so you can get back to your day feeling refreshed. There we go.
That is electric. I'm sure you guys might indulge out there. You can schedule a consultation today with Brenda and her team. And this is the final package, a 10-show campaign that we worked on with the folks at Wellness Plus Care this season. And we would just want to say, special thanks to them. By the way, all of these deals, all of these incentives, I should say, some of these VAULTRON exclusive offers that are available to you, they do run through the end of the year. So just because you won't be hearing from Wellness Plus Care in terms of our sponsored content through the rest of the year, these offers will be available to you through the rest of the year. So hopefully you guys will consider taking advantage of it. And if you're in the Hunt Valley area or anywhere really, Baltimore City and beyond, you'll consider reaching out to Brenda or one of her team members. And again, thanks to Wellness Plus Care for believing in what we're building here. We really appreciate their support this season. Shall we talk about? Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Just want to acknowledge Katie Reamy here, starting off the show with a membership gift. Appreciate the generosity, Katie. Good for you. Eric Hill in the house with his daily reminder that in case no one tells you today that they love you, just know that I do. Driving at the moment, will not be active in the chat. So hello, everyone. Be blessed and be safe. Hashtag you all rock. Hashtag 'tis the season. Hashtag the vault. And then, of course, while he's driving, he still gifts 5. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 membership gifts. Eric Hill, we appreciate you. And Bobby, here's one from Juju Bean.
Yeah, take a rest over there. If you account for the easy dropped passes, Lamar actually was on point. I think there was around 4 drops, and these drops were easy catches going back to Sunday in Minnesota, 2 of which were on the opening drive, I believe, or they went 3 and out on the opening drive, didn't they? The
second drive, I think. It
was
Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely.
First quarter, obviously, and Zay was in there, I think, as well. JL Green writes, help me understand, Bobby and Sarah. Isn't this the same line from last year? I agree, Sarah. Daniel Fa'alele is killing us, and another guard needs to replace him.
It just is real quick. It is mostly the same offensive line. Obviously, sort of Andrew Voorhees being different because he was lost his job after like week 2 or 3. But I will say there does seem to be some regression elsewhere, including with Roger Rosengarten. A lot of people speculating if Warhop is the right offensive line coach. Is he teaching them wrong? I don't know. So because there's been regression from last year, that is what kind of gives me hope that like Roger can resurge again and maybe Linderbaum and elsewhere. And so maybe there will be some improvement there. Maybe Voorhees, and then maybe a replacement if Emory Jones can do it a couple weeks down the line.
Big test coming up this weekend. Kobe Pruitt writes, wild card weekend this year is going to be fire. Ravens, Bills, and Chiefs. Maybe Chargers will all be playing. Yeah, that's insane to think. It feels like a rare year where the Super Bowl champion comes out of that weekend. Can you imagine? It does appear to be setting up. There's so much more football to be played, KP, as I know you know. But yeah, the way that AFC playoff picture looks, Sarah, you had that graphic up to begin the stream. It is wide open, and there is as much parity in this league as there has ever been in recent memory for my money. So could be good news for a team that's fighting to keep its postseason hopes alive as it has been over the course of this 3-game win streak. Well, Sarah, Keaton Mitchell in recent weeks has really been coming on for the Ravens. And one of the key ingredients to that is actually being handed the keys of the car, right? He was inactive earlier on in this season. He was not as involved as I think so many would have preferred him to be. And ever since they gave him an opportunity, man, it's still in a really small sample size. I think just 4 touches or 4 carries outside of special teams. last weekend in Minnesota. Everything seems to go right when Keaton is involved with the football, whether it be indirectly or directly. With all that said, as you take a look at the season as a whole, a lot of questions still remain. Why wasn't he as involved early on? Why was he inactive early on in the season? And John Harbaugh shared some thoughts on exactly that. And I clipped this into 2 different snippets from Monday's press conference. Here's John Harbaugh on all things
Keaton
Mitchell.
The change of pace with Keaton Mitchell worked really well over the last few weeks. Do you sort of like the level at which you're using that right now, or is that something that we could maybe see even more in certain games? Or
yeah, I think more. Yeah, more. We should. And we were kind of intentional. We wanted to do more. Just for whatever reason, we didn't get to it. But definitely want to see more Keaton. And I think more you can mix it up. It's hard to take. It's hard to take plays off Derrick Henry's plate. That's a challenge. You gotta. I think anybody can understand that, but mixing it up is also a good thing too. And I think all the guys understand the value of that too. So we're gonna try to find that. It's going to be game to game probably, but try to find that world where everybody's most effective.
Was it something that he improved on that led to his increased role, or was it really more from the coaching game plan side?
Say again, please.
Was it something that Keaton did that earned him an increased role, or was it more from the game planning side?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit of both, but probably more Keaton. It's watching him throughout the course of the season. You could, he's been working hard, but he was coming back, hadn't played a lot last year, and I think he kind of was getting his sea legs back as a football player. Offensively and on special teams, both. And he made a big impact on special teams yesterday, twice as a gunner. I don't know if you noticed, but he had one play on the left sideline where he got down there right away. And then he had one where he got tackled and backed him up to the inside the 7-yard line, which was huge for us because it backed him up on that last drive. And then McCarthy got the big scramble, but it only got him out to like the 35-yard line because of that. That was a massive play, kind of hidden yardage play by Keaton. But even as a running back, I think he's really starting to, in the last, not just now, but in the last probably 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you could really start to see him come alive.
Okay, Sarah. So the Ravens have played 9 total games through 10 weeks with the bye sprinkled in there as well. Keaton himself has been active or let's say played in just 5 of those 9 games. He's averaging 6.2 yards per attempt as a running back. And the amount of attempts I have right in front of me, just 15 attempts thus far. To dig into what Harbaugh specifically had to say here, and I think where he lost some within the fan base, quote, "We were kind of intentional. We wanted to do more," speaking to Keaton's usage, really, I think, through the full body of work so far of 10 weeks. For whatever reason, we didn't get to it. Definitely want to see more of Keaton. It's hard to take plays off of Derrick Henry's plate. That's a challenge. I think he was kind of getting his sea legs back as a football player, offensively and on special teams. In the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you've really started to see him come alive. Sarah, man, there's a couple things that stick out about that quote. One, you and I talked in the pre-show. For whatever reason, we didn't get to it. It just doesn't quite do it for me. And then the end of there with related to the sea legs, that's not what we saw in preseason. I didn't see a player from what I saw struggling to get his extra gear back or struggling to get back to full pre-ACL form. I saw a player that was cutting with strength and explosiveness and burst and all those things that we saw play out. And that was all representative and matched up with what the beat reporters on the scene throughout training camp were reporting, and also what he told us back in April about how he was feeling during our draft coverage. So far from satisfactory, I would say, and a little bit vague, and leaves you wondering why. Is it the lack of trust with the offensive line? Is it truly because of the Derrick Henry workload and wanting to keep him happy and keep him involved? Or was this just simply like a total miss by this staff in terms of, the roster construction and day-to-day gymnastics that happen with a really talented group?
Yeah, no, it was definitely strange. We were kind of intentional. We wanted to do more. For whatever reason, we didn't get to it. It's like when I ask like my teenage son, what happened on your chemistry test? Did you study? He's like, well, I wanted to study, but I didn't really get to it. Like, what? Go study for your test. What do you
I
mean?
wonder which son.
We
Don't
don't need to
blast
go-
which son
we
it
don't
was.
need to
I'll
s-
ask you after
we
the
don't need
show.
any strays around here. I was saying it more hypothetically. I think he's got a
got
pretty
you.
good grade in chemistry right now, but but it's like, yeah, that was just a strange answer for whatever reason we didn't get to it. And Derrick Henry early was struggling with fumbles, but they also weren't using Derrick. I feel like the whole run game has just been off in terms of usage, because when Derrick Henry had a hot hand and I can't remember which game was it, and he brings the Ravens all the way up to like the 1 yard line, and then they take him out. And it's like, he's got so much momentum on his side. Keep it. And so, yeah, I agree with you on the sea leg stuff. He looked good. You asked the question, like, it makes you wonder why Keaton Mitchell wasn't given an opportunity earlier, given that we saw his sea legs were under him. To your point, like, we all saw it in the preseason. He had burst. He had speed. He looked like the Keaton Mitchell when he was the rookie Keaton Mitchell speed. And whatever. I remember him being on our show during the draft, and he's like, oh, it's back. And he's been tracked by the GPS systems that they have in practice. Like, he's back. And so my speculation of why he hasn't gotten a chance is I go all the way back to the offseason, perhaps around minicamp, the OTAs. I remember Todd Monken saying back then that it's going to be difficult for Keaton Mitchell to get touches. He said it all the way back then. I feel like way back then they already had their mind up that it was going to be a Derrick Henry, Justice Hill 1-2 punch. And then they kind of had their mind made up on special teams that he wasn't as good on special teams. So it wasn't worth the roster spot. And then we started to see that he did get a chance due to injuries to be on the roster. Then he gets a couple of touches, and it's like, whoa, that's like a lot of juice that he just brought to this offense. And then because they finally are like, okay, well, maybe he doesn't have special teams ability, but he brings so much in the offense. He's a game-changing running back that maybe we'll see what he can do on special teams so he can justify his spot. And then there's Harbaugh praising how well he played on special teams. It's like, did this just like happen that he became good on special teams, or did he finally get the opportunities? It just seems like one of those situations where John Harbaugh and Todd Monken already had their mind up that it was Derrick Henry and Justice Hill. And so the opportunity really wasn't there. And then Keaton Mitchell came out and played so well. And the 1 or 2 opportunities that he got, that it was like, oh, even though it shouldn't have been an aha moment because we've already seen what he does, but it seemed like it was for them, that he came out and changed their predetermined minds.
I think we all recognize that as a blitz picker-upper or just straight up pass blocking, if Keaton Mitchell finds himself in that role, that's not something that you want 34 out there for. And that is a deficiency. That is not putting Lamar in a position for success, or Keaton in a position for success. But much like with the lack of pass rush on the other side of the ball, the Ravens have made up for it in recent weeks with 13 pass deflections, Sarah, on Sunday against Minnesota by just getting their hands in the air and disrupting sight lines. That kind of makes up, right? That makes up for the lack of pass rush. Does Keaton's burst, does Keaton's speed, his explosiveness, the way a defense has to account for all of those things, make up for some of those deficiencies from a pass blocking standpoint? I would argue that the answer is yes to that, because the guy, he was up over Rashad Ali just this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was that more of a special teams decision? Whatever. And they're going to have to make some special teams. There are going to be more roster construction decisions to be made
because of Higgins
in the coming days as well. Thank you. Because of Jay Higgins, the rookie out of Iowa with that knee injury. And so I wonder if that means Sanusi Kane gets the call back up from the practice squad. But you see what I mean there? Like, I know I'm looking at two different sides of the ball, and I'm kind of all over the place here, but I do think that there's something to be said about what he can bring, even despite some of the deficiencies given his size.
Well, yeah, I think it helps a little bit with the guard situation. It's just really deflating that the Ravens between the tackles, it's really tough to run. I mean, Keaton did get a nice chunk of yardage, maybe like 15 going between the tackles. He often bounces out to the outside. So maybe they weren't prepared for him to go inside because he usually bounces outside. But whether it's Keaton got, knocked in the backfield once also because of the guard position. And so is Derrick Henry. Although Derrick Henry himself hasn't been playing as well. And maybe he's like, I don't know, but those two plays where he stumbled, and it didn't hurt the Ravens in the long run because they kept feeding him the rock and he ended up, draining the clock and they kept getting first downs. But he did stumble on his own a couple times. And then you add in the guard. I just don't know how much the guards are going to impact both of them. So that's why I think it's good that you continue with this 1-2 punch to keep the defensive line a little bit more on their heels. And if Keaton can go up the middle every once in a while and Derrick Henry can bounce outside every once in a while to keep them guessing, I feel like the two of them together in the changeup should be good for the Ravens offense. So John Harbaugh got it wrong with waiting to get Keaton Mitchell in the game so long, but where the Ravens got it right. Oh, where did Jaire Alexander? Is it this way? There we go. My bad. They ended up getting it right with Jaire Alexander, and maybe some people need to dole out some apologies here. But Bobby, I think it's 11 days after the Ravens traded Jaire Alexander to the Philadelphia Eagles. It is Diana Rossini just last night reported that Jaire informed the team that he's stepping away from the team to focus on getting right physically and mentally. And then just like about 12 hours later or so, the Philadelphia Eagles announced that they placed Jaire on their reserve retired list. And so I know that we kind of made fun of Howie saying that it was a big risk. And it's like, it's a 7th and a 6th kind of an exchange with Jaire Alexander. So there wasn't really any huge risk. And then we kind of thought it might be more of a risk for the Ravens because maybe he could have provided depth in case one of these guys goes down. But and Jaire goes to Philadelphia and his first interviews in the locker room is like, yeah, I'm so glad to be here to prove what I can do. And there was like a path for him to start where there really wasn't one in Baltimore. And just less than a week later, he never went to the Green Bay Packers game, and everybody anticipated him to go with Philadelphia up there because it's his former team. And maybe just in the end, the Ravens could see, which is unfortunate, that Jaire wasn't Jaire anymore because of that knee. He's just not quite there yet. And maybe it took Jaire to go to Philadelphia to try to come to that realization also, which kind of makes me sad. I always hate it when I see football players come to that realization because football has been their life since their peewee days, right? It's like football is everything. And it's tough for players to come to the realization that they might not play up to the standard that they once were. And maybe Jaire can during an offseason get healthy again or whatever. But that's not who he is this year. That's why he wasn't on the field. Philadelphia took a chance. Jaire came to the realization, I just don't have it. I got to take a break, both for mentally and physically, to get myself right.
I wish him well. Football mortality remains, or what Father Time remains undefeated. Hopefully that's not what he's looking at and facing here, but clearly there's some considerations happening here and perhaps a decision that has to be made. So, unfortunately we saw that play out week 1. And I think everybody was thinking, even though it was just 30% of the defensive snaps that night against Buffalo, you think, okay, this is the first time he's played regular season football since January and since his PCL procedure. And, oh, by the way, he had his knee drained at the start of camp. So everybody's kind of holding out hope that, he would find it. And unfortunately, he just hasn't and couldn't during his time in Baltimore. So I wish him well. He's 28 years old, Sarah. It's dedicated his entire life to the game. And it's a really hard realization when you have to confront potentially your football mortality. I hope that's not the case for him. But ultimately, it wasn't the right fit for the Ravens. And I'm not even talking about culture fit, right? I think, we've both already we've talked about this. Guy was a light in that locker room. So by all accounts. So, wish him well and hopefully he'll be playing NFL football again. But for right now, he's doing what you hope so many can find the courage to do, right? Especially in this world that we're living in with so much pressure and media coverage and you name it to get yourself right first and foremost, and then the football hopefully will follow. So best wishes to him moving forward.
And you remember, I don't know, maybe it was during the preseason or something. Jaire was, or maybe it was training camp. Jaire was mic'd up, and there was this conversation between him and Kyle Hamilton, and it kind of hits different knowing what Jaire's going through today. But and I hope Jaire remembers this. I mean, Kyle Hamilton's playing it up a little bit, but it hits different knowing what he's going through today.
Some words of wisdom, or?
Hey, it's great to have you as a Baltimore Raven, bro.
All right, man. Y'all getting real deep today, man.
You,
Y'all gonna make
Remember
me cry.
Remember that the whole day.
All right, 6'7".
I grew up watching you, man, since like 3rd grade. I know you've been in it for 15, 16 years.
Come on, man. Don't do me like that.
It's a dream, even, to be playing with you, bro.
Oh, man.
Blessing.
Y'all, you know what? Y'all out doing y'all stuff today, man. I'm just gonna stand over here.
It's a dream. I mean, he was playing it on a little thick, but there's, there was that clip is just one. Several people came up to him talking about how much they liked him. Bobby, I remember the infusion of energy and juice and happiness that he brought to the locker room. So it makes me sad that it didn't work out. But I loved that moment between him and Kyle Hamilton.
Same here. Shall we get to some availability, injury updates, and everything in between?
Yeah. So first things first, with Marlon Humphrey, we saw him with the big cast on his finger. And remember, when we were given our live reaction post game, we hadn't heard from Marlon Humphrey yet. Remember, I was like, what was he doing on that interception return? Like, he just looked like he wanted to give up. Turns out he was very nervous about that finger getting hit, and he was looking for a path to get out of bounds. Glad that he was able to catch the interception in the first place. But he also whiffed on a sack when it seemed like he had JJ McCarthy dead to rights. And again, I think he was protecting that finger. And so John Harbaugh talked about his broken finger and a decision that he has to make.
He might need to get something done to tighten it up, which would be he could play right away, maybe the week, or it may take a week to get him back from that if he does decide to do a surgery. But it would be only a week at the most, what I was told. I don't know. I guess you could, when you say a week, then I'm thinking maybe 2, but maybe none. So if he decides to play with it and keep it wrapped up, then he could play in this game. So that's where he's at right now.
Okay, so the question is, I mean, obviously he can play. He just did. But let's see. Let's look at the Ravens schedule. So you said maybe 1 to 2 weeks. Obviously, the Ravens have the Browns coming up, and then they have the Jets, and then the Bengals. But for the Browns and Jets, let's be honest, it's not the most potent passing attacks right now. So if Marlon Humphrey needs to get surgery and it takes 1 to 2 weeks, could there be a better time in midseason than right now? This might be the time for him.
Yeah. Look, listen to him on top of the Harbaugh comments. This feels like it's a no-brainer to go have that procedure. Listen to Marlon post-game.
I'm really not sure. I had a deal happen Friday, so it's kind of, I honestly have never really dealt with something kind of like this. So it's a little bit experimental for me, so I'm kind of unaware of what exactly going forward. It was not the most comfortable, that was for sure, but we'll see going forward.
But you still made the interception.
I did still make the interception. I think if I had 2 hands, I probably would have dropped it, honestly. So the cast might be good luck. So we'll see if I'm still wearing the cast in the playoffs or something. That would be wild.
Look, it's not to say that having Marlon is going to be locked down against the Bengals' star-studded duo. They've given him fits. They've given the entire Ravens secondary in recent years fits, led by Jamar Chase, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
But it is to say that they're going to be better off with a healthy or close to it Marlon. That's no disrespect to Keon Martin, right? He'd be the next man up, as we saw in the fourth quarter when Marlon exited late in that game on Sunday in Minnesota. So yeah, to your point, is there a better time than right now? The answer is no. It would be now if that's something that he's willing to look at. And clearly there's a deliberation process or a consideration process that's going on, as John Harbaugh mentioned. So I'm sure we'll learn more as the week progresses, and practices about the first of 3 practices is kicking off at some point soon here in Owings Mills. So
Other injury news, Bateman, as we heard Sunday night from a report, Harbaugh did confirm that he has a sprained ankle. He said that he thinks Rashad is going to be okay. Yes, he has an ankle sprain. We'll see how serious it is going forward. They asked, do you expect Rashad Bateman to miss time? He said, we'll see where we're at. Yes, we will probably know more on Wednesday. So, of course, we'll get the injury report today. I can't imagine he practiced, but John seemed pretty upset about the hip drop tackle. That's where he injured his ankle. And John says, what is a hip drop tackle? It's an enigma, apparently. That can't be called during the game. It looked like a hip drop tackle. I think so, yes, based on the definition. Am I going to get in trouble for saying that? I hope not. Meanwhile, I'll tell you who else is ticked off about not getting calls for hip drop tackles or it being oh, shoot. I forgot to edit this out. J.K. Dobbins, he also got hurt on a hip drop tackle last week. He's going to miss a significant amount of time. And he goes to Twitter in all caps, ban or at least call the mother bleeping hip drop tackle. He is ticked. And I get it. He's had so many injuries, Bobby. He doesn't want to get another career injury that makes him miss more time. So Rashad hip drop, J.K. Dobbins hip drop, obviously needs to get cleaned up.
Yeah, not consistent enough yet in terms of an enforcement from an officiating standpoint. So hopefully that will take front and center type of priority this offseason. Sarah, Brian Wacker of the Baltimore Sun, prior to the show, tweeted out that according to his source, Rashad, this is not a surprise, is not expected to go Sunday against Cleveland. So again, a high ankle sprain, that's not a surprise. You'd have to think it's going to be a multi-week type thing for Rashad. And then obviously, to your point, let's hope that gets cleaned up this offseason from an officiating standpoint. So in terms of the overall health side of things, going into the first of 3 practices, don't expect to see Rashad Bateman out there. Jay Higgins, obviously the undrafted rookie who's been a special teamer. He's going to be down for a multi-week knee type setback. And then we'll just have to see how Marlon chooses to handle his finger. And then any other surprises that might have come out from this weekend. I know DeAndre Hopkins was banged up at one point in game. So let's see what his practice schedule looks like. And we'll learn more, obviously, as we've already said, later on this afternoon. And we'll talk about it in Thursday's show.
Yep. And let's see. Carl Lawson was not active. Harbaugh addressed that. He just said it was a matter of, quote, not having reps to get him up, but that he's ready to roll. So we'll see. I kind of expected him out there last week. I was a little surprised he wasn't. So we'll see this week. And then he said that 5th-round rookie Carson Vincent really just became ready within the last 2 weeks, meaning ready to kind of play there. So those are kind of the injury availability updates. And Bobby, I have a suggestion. Maybe we only talk about Browns and AFC North, skip the defensive stuff that we have planned and push it to tomorrow since we're already 6 minutes out from an hour.
Love it. Love it.
Okay.
Meaning, you want to take a close look at the
just the upcoming
little primer.
Yep.
Yeah. Little primer coming up week 11. Ravens are 8.5-point favorites. That's the open in terms of the spread going into Sunday in Cleveland under John Harbaugh. As Jamison Hensley notes here on X, Baltimore's 13-2 straight up when favored by 7 or more points against the Browns. And as a friend of the show, Daniel Oyefusi added here, the Ravens have not swept the Browns since Kevin Stefanski's first year as head coach, which goes back to the 2020 season. Cleveland is 3-2 at home against the Ravens under Stefanski's leadership. So not a whole lot of success in terms of the full body of work, Sarah, during his time in Cleveland, and a whole lot of dysfunction and quarterback carousels and play caller duties and you name it. But one area they have had success is at their place against these Ravens.
That is true. That is true. And I hate that, but that's the way in-division stuff happens. We just saw the Dolphins beat the Bills. In-division games are very unpredictable. That being said, I do feel like some of these losses that the Ravens have had against the Browns, it's usually when the Ravens are in a great position. It might be more of a trap game type experience. I would be a little surprised if the Ravens don't sweep them this time around. There's just way too much at stake. The Ravens are in 1-game playoff modes right now. And I just don't see Dylan Gabriel being able to be able to lead these guys to a win. I just don't. Like, it doesn't mean I don't think it's going to be close. It doesn't mean that it won't be a slugfest. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to be screaming at the offensive line for letting Myles Garrett take hits at Lamar Jackson. I don't want to see any of that. But I think the Ravens are in playoff mode, and I do see them returning to sweeping the Cleveland Browns.
I do as well. I think this is going to be a game that's anyone's through 3 quarters, and then the Ravens find a way in the 4th quarter. I think this is going to be one of those nail-biter type games, wonky, kind of fluky AFC North, low scoring through 3 quarters, and then much like they did in the second half, not the 4th quarter, but the second half in week 2, I think the Ravens end up pulling away. Perhaps an early prediction for you? No, I'm not doing that just yet. That'll be on Friday. But more from Stefanski. Take it away.
Yeah, well, just to your point, you mentioned this, that about the 2 quarterbacks. Kevin Stefanski was asked about Shedeur Sanders potentially playing. He said he, quote, I don't think it's fair to speculate on a timetable, although he doesn't need to speculate because he has the power. But he didn't really want to say. And then this is according to Daniel Ofusi. He says owner Jimmy Haslam has said it's absolutely important to evaluate both Sanders and Dylan Gabriel on the field ahead of the 2026 NFL draft when Cleveland holds 2 first-round picks. So his boss may be telling him, you better do it at some point because I want to know what we have before the draft comes up. So it would be ironic if Shedeur Sanders finally gets a chance against the Ravens, given the reports that the Ravens did want to draft him, but he got word back to Baltimore that he didn't want to come here and play behind Lamar Jackson and not get a chance to start.
Wouldn't surprise me if we see them both. We're definitely going to see 95, though, or at least the Ravens offense will. Myles Garrett, as Pedro comments here, one of the members of the Brazilian Ravens flock and friend of the show. What's going on, Pedro? Myles Garrett leads the NFL in sacks, unsurprisingly, with 11. The Ravens obviously face Cleveland this upcoming Sunday, and Pedro says, may God have mercy on Lamar Jackson's soul because that offensive line will not. This is a defensive front that had its way with the Ravens through that first half and throughout parts of the second half. Week 2, that was home. Remember all the controversy prior to that one with the anniversary celebration and Ozzie being the legend of the game and all the chatter. Gosh, that feels like a lifetime ago with the way the season has panned out.
Sure does. Oh my gosh.
But obviously 95 doing what he does pretty much every single year, Sarah, and that's legitimate candidacy for Defensive Player of the Year.
Meanwhile, in the AFC North, Jay Glazer spoke, or I guess texted with Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow told Jay that he's going to return way sooner than he was expected and gave the timeline of Thanksgiving-ish. Okay, the Ravens play the Bengals on Thanksgiving, so either before or at Thanksgiving or after, we're not sure. Jay Glazer says that he will now start practicing on a limited basis. He says, absolutely unreal attack of rehab and response. At first, medical people didn't believe he'd be back before the playoffs. Huge. He's just Jay Glazer, just really holding down those keys here. Huge jump for him. He's a G. Feels like he's trying to butter up a little bit to Joe Burrow to keep getting the lines of communication for news going on there. But here's the question, though, Bobby. So they have 2 more games, right? How many more games? Is it 2 more games to Thanksgiving? It's already went the 12th.
Yeah.
If they lose even 1, should he come back? Because Joe Flacco's putting up points. It's the defense.
So they're 3-7 right now. Yeah, you really can afford. Let's see. I'm with Jeff on the collective last night. I think that magic number to win the division, the AFC North this year, is likely going to be 10. 10 wins.
Sure.
And because of what's happening in the other divisions in the AFC, I don't think, barring something crazy and this different makeup of the way the divisions are starting to line up here in the AFC playoff picture, I don't think this is a year that the AFC North will send 2 teams to the playoffs. So, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So Evan says they're 3-6. I knew that. So Cincinnati's 3-6. Thank you, Evan. Yeah, they dropped to 3-7, and that question definitely starts to come to the surface there. Like, is this even worth it?
Right.
Can Joe and company sweep the Steelers this upcoming Sunday? Because it's Bengals Steelers week 11. You got to have that if you're Cincinnati, if you want to keep not only your postseason hope live, but Joe Burrow's hopes of why it would even make sense for him to try this insane turnaround.
Right. Well, what's funny is like I would like to see Joe sweep the Steelers. That would be nice, although it would help the Bengals. But the Ravens are 1 game behind the Steelers, so we would like to see that loss for sure. Here's my question to you. Who would you rather face on Thanksgiving, Joe Flacco or first game back from injury, Joe Burrow?
It's hard to doubt Joe. He's had a lot of injuries throughout his career. He's as tough.
Which Joe?
He's tough as nail. Yeah, thank you. It's hard. Well, both of them, first and foremost. But it's hard to. Burrow is so resilient and has battled through, especially with the lack of pass protection over the years in Cincy, that it'd be tough to bet against that guy even after coming back, because mobility's never been his greatest strength, as we know. And one thing he's always going to be able to do is slice and dice and air it out. So, yeah, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that.
We'll think about it. We'll talk about it more. But I don't know. I kind of feel fine with either one. I'm not scared of either one, only because I feel like the Ravens know Joe Flacco so well that they know how to play him. That being said, they haven't played him with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, so that's nice. But I also wouldn't be scared of a rusty Joe Burrow coming off of injury. I don't think either one is a layup, but I'm also not scared of either one.
I can't go that strong. I just think like both are going to be able to put up points against the Ravens in my mind, right? I'm not saying you're not saying that, but I think I probably would go. I would less want to face Burrow, to be quite honest.
Okay, so you came to your decision.
Yeah.
You'd rather face Joe Flacco than Joe Burrow, an injured Joe Burrow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, an injured.
You know what I mean? Like coming off of injury, coming back from injury.
A newly repaired Joe Burrow.
Yes.
Yeah. Who of course would come.
Well, like think about it. Like we've been talking about Lamar and a hamstring, right? Like we didn't want to see him go all out because you're nervous that something can happen. Same thing with the toe. You know, obviously Burrow isn't as mobile as Lamar, although Lamar hasn't had to be super mobile. But there's always that like feeling like, are you really going to be 100%? Are you really going to be back in the groove of things? That's always there. Either way, I guess here's what I'm saying. Either way, I think that they could put points on the boards because of their wide receivers, but their defense is the defense. And with either Joe or returned Joe, either with Flacco or returned Joe Burrow, I think the Ravens, this is going to be at home. This Thanksgiving game is in Baltimore.
Yeah. The first of 2 and 3 weeks will be at home. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the Ravens. I like the Ravens outscoring because of their defense.
They did last year.
I think the Ravens defense will be able to put up more stops than the Bengals defense.
That's
which isn't saying a lot. I didn't say a lot of stops. I said more stops.
But it's hard to disagree with that, given how susceptible they've been to pretty much all aspects of offensive football on the defensive side. For them, they have been unable to stop a nosebleed. And so, yeah, you'd like to think that the Ravens will be able to move the ball at ease. There are a couple barn burners, couple shootouts last year. I think one of them was 42-38, wasn't it? And then they were both high scoring affairs. Wouldn't surprise me if that's the same case this time around.
And don't forget Lamar Jackson's record against the Bengals. Let's not forget that.
Oh, that'll always exist.
Yeah.
And that's with and without Joe. You know, I recognize that. Absolutely.
That's why I said I'm not scared of either. I just feel like they're going to put up similar points, whichever Joe they have. But let's check out Dre Dog's super chat. Then we'll get to quick hits and we'll get out of here. So Dre Dog, while we were talking about vitamins, he says, add an oil of oregano supplement to your daily vitamins. I've been taking it since 2010. No flu, no colds, and I've never gotten COVID. Look at him with his bicep emojis showing, boom, that's how you stay strong.
Oh, hey, and he threw that Discord photo in the group with Jabbo at the Vikings-Ravens pregame meetup, and he was looking swole, wasn't he? That boy, Dre. Appreciate the tidbit there. Some quick hits here. Unfortunate start to Travis Hunter's career in the NFL. He just underwent season-ending knee surgery. It was an LCL repair, as Ian Rappaport notes. Of course, he was the Jaguars' big investment in the first round out of Colorado, playing two ways, right? Both ways, cornerback and wide receiver. And as Ian notes, he's expected to return within 6 months to full football activities. So eyes on 2026 for a supreme talent, Sarah, who already has shut it down early.
That's crazy. Too bad for him for his rookie year. Meanwhile, more AFC North news. Free agent cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. is signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They keep getting these big name guys that are kind of past their prime this year. Jeremy Fowler says a top 25 free agent in March. Samuel recovered from a spinal fusion surgery in time to sign for the season's second half. Now he gets a new start with Pittsburgh. So we'll have to be watching that, see what kind of difference he can make over there. And then Bobby, over in New York, your home state, the Giants fired Brian Daboll. According to Ian Rappaport, a promising and frustrating season leads the New York Giants to have an opening. So he's gone after week 9. Woo.
Week 10. Yeah.
Week 10.
Yeah, this is no surprise, Sarah. The bummer for all involved, because they were on paper when Jackson Dart came in for a benched Russell Wilson. Man, was he fun to watch with Cam Scattaboo, and then he blew out his, knee or ankle? I think it was ankle. I can't remember specifically. Malik Neighbors, of course, was lost earlier on in the season. So this thing started to kind of spiral on Daboll. And then there were some concussion protocol breaches. There's just a lot going on with the New York Football Giants. So, yeah, they're going to get a head start on their whole evaluation process for their next head coach. And I think the beauty of it for them, though, Sarah, is that they know they have their guy. I think Jackson Dart clearly is their franchise future. Jameis Winston going to get a start for them. He's starting.
I don't like Jameis. Jameis, we just talked about the Browns not being able to sweep the Browns. Jameis was the problem with one of those. So never
correct.
That guy out.
Correct. Now, Kyle would tell you that game should have been in the bag at the end there. The would-be interception.
Yes, Kyle. Yes, that is true.
Which he would probably make 99 times out of 100. But not that day. But for Jameis Winston, his first start of the year coming up this weekend for the lowly New York Giants, who are just jockeying for draft positioning at this point. And here's another quick hit for you.
Yeah, meanwhile, Justin Tucker has officially served all 10 of his games, so he is no longer suspended. It was officially lifted by the commissioner yesterday. So he's eligible to sign if anybody is interested in signing Justin Tucker. And last quick hit, I just had to show this from one of the Ravens Productions videos. They put it's one of those sights and sounds kind of videos. The sound is just, you have to listen to it with headphones. Okay. It just is, it's so good. But anyway, they have this one play where they keep switching, showing guys running to the left, and they end it with Derrick Henry throwing a defender out of bounds like an absolute ragdoll.
Wow. Run that back with no sound.
Yeah, you want it with sound. You want the whole thing?
No,
okay, it goes from Zay Flowers to Lamar Jackson to Keaton Mitchell to Derrick Henry, all running to the right, all making moves, and then Derrick ends it, just throwing this guy. You want volume, you said?
Let's talk right. I'll give some play-by-play right all over. Even though
can
you
we
just
take the volume off? I'll take the volume
off.
Okay, go.
Sure. I mean, So there's Zay's catch. He's just running and juking and jiving, and there's Lamar, and then there's Derek. And Derek just, I swear, it's not even like he has the proper angle to ragdoll this player. Did he do that with his right arm across his body?
He did it with his right arm across his body. Yes, indeed.
Think about that. Like, Sarah, from a leverage standpoint, think about that. Like, you're going across your body. Yeah, run that back.
I mean, the guy is running in that direction, so Derek's smart and just using his leverage against him.
Yeah.
But still,
boof.
Sit down.
Insane, man. That is insane. When you think about all the off-season content that he gives us at that Sanders training center down in Dallas, like, you think about plays like this, because you don't just do this. No. You earn this. And he earns it in the offseason with a ridiculous amount of strength training. That is insane.
Yeah. It's a combination of strength. The guy was already running in that direction, and he just used his momentum and but still, like, his legs are in the air. He's flying. Okay. I feel like that was a good way to end the show right there.
That's just king stuff right there. It is king stuff.
Way. Kevin Hart here, Super Chat says, streets are saying Joe Burrow is the system QB.
Oh, you guys will never miss an opportunity.
When a 40-year-old quarterback is putting up similar, it might be a little bit more about wide receivers than we think. Well, we're never going to know, because Joe Burrow has always had elite wide receivers. Always.
Yes.
So.
And he has advocated for them more than maybe any other quarterback has, negotiation-wise. Goodness gracious. Okay, partner. That'll do it for today's show. You and I will be back on Thursday. We'll track down a Browns guest on Friday for week 11 in Cleveland. And we appreciate you guys for all the patience in recent days as we've just been, whether it be traveling or getting back to 100%. I can tell you're not close to 100%. So I appreciate you for gutting it out today.
I appreciate you, but I'm fine.
I know. But, and I'm sure the subscriber count in our audience appreciates it as well. So, just like they appreciate Lamar. Who knows where he's at in terms of his percentage of health. But coming up on Sunday, Ravens-Browns, 4:25 kickoff. I'll have pregame coverage as always. Sarah and I will be live at typically 8 o'clock, I think, for 4:25 kicks. So, hey, one more thanks to Wellness Plus Care, because, again, this is our final episode of the 10-show package that we've been working on throughout this season. So if you guys want to show the channel love, it's a great way to show our brand sponsor love, or vice versa. When you show the brand sponsors love, you're directly showing us love. So we want to say thanks to Brenda, Ivy, and the entire team at Wellness Plus Care in Hunt Valley, Maryland, for the continued support of our program. All those offers that you can find in the show notes will be valid and available to you throughout the end of the year. So through December 31st. Appreciate them. And we appreciate all of you for spending part of your Wednesday with us. If you could like the video on your way out, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. And come on back on Thursday to join Sarah and I here inside the Vault. Vaultrons, as always, we appreciate you. And we'll catch up with you well under 24 hours from right now.